Hello, it's Sandra Pike from Lepage Atlantic and the Pike Group, and what a panel and discussion we have today. So all the time we are hearing the news as of late, mortgage rates are going up, we're going into recession. And today I want to talk to a mortgage broker and another agent here in town, just to get their take on things and where we may see the market within the next few months. So Ian, I'll get you to introduce yourself first and tell us where you work out of and what area of town that you, if there's an area of town that you work in as well.
Hi, my name is Angus. Work for Lepage Atlantic. Been doing this for 14 years, and I work mainly in the Beachville, Lakeside, Timberley, Hughley, Lewis Lake area of town.
Awesome. Good stuff. And Leanne, yourself?
My name is Leanne Myles. I'm a mortgage broker. I work in downtown Dartmouth with the Clinton Wilkins Mortgage Team.
Good stuff. So Ian, we've been hearing now that, I even see some local agents here posting on their social media that only buy if you really have to. Is that still the case? Like, do you feel that way, or are you seeing anything different? What's happening in your business?
I'm not seeing that. I mean, I think that if you're getting into the market to purchase a property, to stay in it for the foreseeable future, I think you can get in now and not wait. I do think things are trending down a little bit, but there's still, I mean, I'll give you an example. There was, two very similar properties in my neck of the woods that recently sold last week, and one sold for $425 and one sold for $320, and very, very similar properties. I was in both of them, showed them to clients, and there is not a $105,000 difference between the two. I can assure you of that.
So remember back in 2012, Ian, when, if you purchased a house, you had to wait at least 5 years before you sold it because you would either break even or you would lose money. Do you see the same, given the example you just gave now, will that be the same case?
I would say in some cases, yes. For people that bought in February and March when we peaked, things are trending down a little bit. I think a lot of people get caught up in the sale to list average, like, oh, that house went for $150,000 over asking. Well, in the past, and still true today, our agents were listing homes below what they should have been to create competition. Right. And I'm seeing that agents are still trying to do that. And if it doesn't work out in the first week, then they're just raising the price to closer to what the client is actually looking for.
But should they expect it to sell the same? What are your thoughts of between 325 and the other property that sold? Is that what's going to happen everywhere, you think?
I don't think that's going to happen everywhere. There's always one-offs, like the semi in Sackville that sold for 500, and the 2,000 square foot bungalow in Hammond's Plains that sold for $1 million. Those people might be looking at their purchase price and say, I might have paid a little too much. But I think a lot of people are in that boat. But again, to my point earlier, if you're planning to stay in the house for an extended period of time, the market's cyclical and it'll catch up eventually.
Leanne, I'm hearing a lot of agents chatter about deals that are falling on financing. Is that the case? Are you seeing that as well?
Well, we're seeing some of our buyers getting opportunities when they fall in. We're not seeing appraisals not come in at purchase price. A lot of times when we are seeing like the higher priced homes, because of the larger than normal down payments that people are putting into them, the value is really moot because the client has so much money to put down. So they're not leveraging themselves to the full 95% of the higher ask price. So no, we do our due diligence up front. We do a pre-approval. We make sure that all the documents are in line. I would imagine if somebody put in an offer and then, a couple of days later, they went with the 5-year fixed and didn't lock in or didn't get a pre-approval, that maybe they wouldn't qualify today because the rates have gone up and now it's, 7.34 to qualify, whereas it used to be like much lower. Yeah, we're not really seeing that. I mean, we don't approve people if they don't have what they need to go in and actually write an offer. Yeah.
So you're talking about the rate now that in order for you to qualify for, what is it, the 5% ish rate that we have now, that, you know, as a stress test, you need to qualify at 7%. And
Yes.
the news and the banks are talking about, you know, anybody who had, you know, let's say a 3-year mortgage that is due, or maybe a 5-year mortgage is due. So if we look at the, let's say 2019, our fixed variable was 4.16. Now, was the stress test back in 2019?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you exactly what the number was, but we've been stress testing people now for a number of years at 5.24 and even at 5.34. So even if we were giving you a 1.45 mortgage, we were stress testing you at 5.34. So we've been doing that for a lot of years. And we used to complain about it because, like, why would you need to qualify somebody at that high rate when we're giving them such a low rate? But it was a fail-safe put in place to make sure that people could afford their mortgages if rates went up, as well as their debt that they have accumulated.
So let's say the 2019, you know, if you were on a 3-year mortgage, that is
Yep.
due now, and they have to be, to qualify at 7%. Do you see them qualifying at 7%?
So if you're renewing, you don't need to qualify for anything. So they can sign their renewal and move forward. So they can pick a 5-year fixed or a 1-year. I'm advising my clients to go year to year. If they're doing a refinance, yes, they have to qualify at that higher amount if they're choosing a fixed rate on the refi.
Now, do you see that affecting the market where some people won't be able to do that? Will they have to sell?
Not seeing that yet. I've been talking to some people through some renewals. As an example, TD Bank has a variable rate mortgage where the payment doesn't change. So I had a client last night, her payment was going to go from 1,300 to 1,700. And we just chose the variable rate, and then her payment doesn't change. So her payment's like right around where it is now. It's very possible. I mean, if it depends on the demographic, it depends on the property. Here's what I'm seeing with everything is, you know, somebody that bought a house for $150,000 in 2020 is now able to sell that for 300. What's happening with them is they're actually able to sell that home, make a lateral move, and or go up, pay off all their debt, which can make all the difference in the world with the debt ratios, right?
Absolutely.
So it's, in my opinion, with what's happening with the market, and even with it slowing a little bit or leveling off, it's still putting money in the pockets of homeowners. So if you're not in the market, you need to get in. If you're in it, you've got opportunity to refinance. You've got opportunity to change your products or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Now, Ian, I know that you mostly sell houses in the BLT area. You work with some buyers too, correct?
A few, yeah.
Yeah. And would you say they've had a hesitancy now since, you know, the end of May till now? Would you say that they are a little more cautious?
Some are. I mean, again, like Leanne said, if you're doing your due diligence as a realtor and giving them the proper information, there's a lot of false information out there. There's a lot of articles on Facebook and online that, you know, are talking about other markets, right? And people are getting caught up in that. And I think that if they're looking at Halifax in general and finding someone, I think experience really helps in this market because, you know, the last 2 years it's been, oh, let's just put it on the market and it sells in 5 days. I mean, that's easy. Anybody can do that. But when the market's trending down like it is right now, you know, you need someone that's experienced and knows what other markets are like.
So I am traveling to Bedford today. I have a listing appointment, and I was looking at the comparables, and one house was on the market for 20 days. And Ian, like, what would you say to, you know, your seller if they were yours, like they're on the market now for 20 days?
Well, there's 3 reasons why your house doesn't sell, and you know this, and so
Yep.
does Leanne. Price, location, and condition. Okay? So your location is in Bedford on Main Street, whatever. Can't change the location. Most people aren't gonna dump a bunch of money in to do a major renovation, like kitchens, bathrooms, finishing basements and stuff like that, because material costs are super high, not to mention, it's tough to get a quality contractor in. You don't want the B squad coming over to your house to, just throw something together. So the only thing you tinker with is the price. So if the house isn't selling in this market, it's because of the price. That's the only thing you can adjust to affect that. You can't look at, oh, my neighbor down the street who sold in March got 600 grand. Why can't I get that? You can't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just the way it is right now.
Leanne, so you would have did a rate hold for how long? 3 months?
Yep, 90 days.
And if a client, didn't buy a house in the 90 days, and let's say the 90 days was up June 1st, and if I had qualified for a $500,000 mortgage in May, right? What am I qualifying for now?
Probably 420 if you're doing a fixed rate, right? You're
Wow.
losing a significant amount because of the 5-year fixed and the 2% over and above that. Yeah.
So would you say because of the lack of inventory that we hear, would you say that's happened to a lot of your buyers?
No, because we promote variable rate. So
Yep.
so we're qualifying people at the same rate. So the 5.24 hasn't changed over the last 6 months. So those buyers that are happy to go variable are still the same. Likewise, if a client is qualified at a 5-year fixed and they're willing to take a variable, they can qualify for that higher amount. Do I think the Bank of Canada is going to change this soon? Absolutely, I do. But for now, we still have that option for people. And you know what? Some brokers are putting people into a variable and then flicking them to a fixed after they close, which is not really what you should do. I mean, variable rates are a strategy, but I'm basically telling my clients, take the variable rate, but pay it based on a fixed. So if I'm giving you a $1,300 payment, make the $1,700 payment, and then you're winning at mortgages.
Absolutely. So Ian, we read articles, what's happening in the Ontario markets, et cetera, when it comes to the housing cooling off. Like, do we really, I know that we have slowed down, but, we slow down this time almost every year. I remember, last year we had slowed down, and that's just the norm. Do you feel that we will take the hit the way other markets have? Because, we do have a lack of inventory. What are your thoughts of that?
Yeah, well, we still have a lack of inventory, and again, if you look at the markets in Ontario, yeah, they have trended down for sure, but they were skyrocketing for a decade. We've only experienced that for the last couple of years. Now we've had a 20% increase year over the last couple of years. And, prices are still up there. If you look at inventory, if you actually look at inventory and you're looking for, what most buyers are looking for, there's more buyers in the 500 and under range than there is in any other category currently. Okay. And if you look at that, if you look at just simply semi-detached and detached homes, there was really not a lot of inventory. So again, to my point earlier, you have to get in the market. If you're looking to flip or do a reno and flip it, this probably isn't the right market to do that in, right? So to Leanne's point where she said, if you qualify for 500, now you're 420. So the people that were in the 500 to 600 range are now included in that 500 and under range because they can't qualify for the 5 to 6 anymore. So there's even more people in there. So that group of buyers is in a tough spot. As you get into higher price points, you limit the amount of buyers that there are. There's definitely a lot less buyers in that $1 million range than there is in the under 500 range, but that's just no. But again, this time of year, yes, it slows down in every type of market, no matter how hot it is. So as a seller, do you hold off? Sure. But if that advice is being given out to lots of sellers, been a long day already, then, there could be an opportunity to get something.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're absolutely right. Leanne, what advice are you giving to, buyer clients who are coming in to see you right now?
I mean, that's a loaded question because everybody's advice is a little bit different. We do promote the variable rate. We do caution them that if they've overbid on the property, that there's a potential that the appraisal may not meet the overbid. Saw this morning in Toronto, so I'm part of a couple of mortgage broker groups, and the guy had paid like 1.2 million for the property, and it just evaluated at 960. His broker, I think, is just going to do it insured. Right? There's no appraisal required for an insured deal. It looks at the previous numbers, and maybe that's a strategy that we can start doing here. But our advice is what it's always been: is that when you overbid on a property, the lender may not necessarily feel the same about that, and that you would have to come up with the difference if there's a shortfall. So when you're pre-approving a client, if you have a 5% down client, that the advice that they get is different from somebody putting 50% down.
Absolutely.
So we're still promoting variable. I know people are scared, but you know what? Take the cheap money and pay it based on a fixed. If you're worried, just increase your payment yourself. Don't let your bank do it, right? Do it yourself.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah, I mean, Sandra,
Yep.
Sandra, it could, I mean, the agent's got to take into account the pricing strategy that they use as well, because if they're still, listing homes that they're expecting to get 450 for, and they're listing them at 299, it's going to automatically trigger an appraisal. And with the things trending down a little bit, that could be a major issue, right?
Absolutely. No, I agree. So when we're talking about pricing, Ian, are you still getting multiple offers?
I'm still getting multiple offers on most of my listings. I have one right now that is kind of struggling, but it's a unique property, and it's in a not highly populated area, but it's a nice property, lots of land and nice views, but amenities aren't super close. And
Okay. When you talk about multiple offers, so I mean, back, a year and a half ago, we could get upwards of 30 offers, for example. How many offers on average would you say you're getting now? We'll say within the last couple of weeks.
I would say somewhere between 4 and 10.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. I would say my showings have definitely dropped dramatically. I probably get the last 3 listings that I put to market. I ended up getting 4 offers, and I didn't hold offers till Monday like we have been. It's, I'll get an offer coming in on Saturday, and now I'm calling all of the real estate agents who've been to the property on Thursday and Friday, say, hey, look, if you're interested, we're getting an offer coming in today. You should put your offer in. That's the only way now that I've been getting the multiple offers, really, is just getting on the phone on Saturday afternoons. Have you been doing the same, or you're still holding the offers?
I'm still getting, I think one of the biggest, and this might not bode well with with other agents, but if you're doing your due diligence when you're representing a buyer and you're looking at the comps, okay, and the last 4 similar houses have sold for 450, and the house is listed at 299, why are you offering 350? All that's doing is affecting your buyer's ability to buy, because the serious buyer who knows that they got to go in the 450 range is going to offer that, and they're bumping it up because they know that there's 10 offers on the property, when in fact 6 or 7 of them aren't even close to what the buyer's willing to take. So I think buyers agents need to educate their clients a little better on the market itself and what the comps are going for. And I know there's agents can say, oh, I'm going to do what my clients are telling me to do. Well, if you have the proper conversation up front and educate them properly and they trust you, then there shouldn't be an issue. Like if I had a client right now that wanted to offer 300 grand on a house that just got listed down the street here for 450, I'm like, no. All you're gonna do is affect your ability to buy because you're making the prices go up.
Absolutely.
Right? And everyone's talking about all the greedy agents are listing it low to create competition. Well, our job is to get our clients the most money. We're not representing the buyer, we're representing the seller in most cases.
Yes, absolutely.
And our job is to get them the highest point. We are not forcing anybody to pay that price. They are being represented separately by another agent, and that agent is making recommendations to them, and then they make the final say. Listen, if I could force people to do things, I'd be a billionaire. But that's just not the case. So
No.
Can I ask a question, Sandra?
Yeah, go, please.
Yeah. So do you guys ever see, and I talk to some real estate agents here in Windsor and stuff. Do you ever see realtors going back to what a house would actually sell for? Or do you think, like, there's a house just went up on my street for 459? I think that that's very comparable to what houses have sold for and would go for. But do you think it's going, like, if you list at what it would actually sell for, do you think that buyers are going to look at it and say, oh my God, they want 550 for that house? Is that like, because we have the gap, of course, of people, listing for 300 and it goes for 450. And then of course we run into triggering appraisals and all the things. Do you see the agents coming together and listing properties at what they should do? Like, because we did that 5 years ago, right? You listed a property, and if you got 95 to 98% of ask, you were doing very well on your property. Like, is that something, like, are you guys shying away from that? Or are you guys thinking that you're going to start to list homes at what they would actually sell for?
I bring that same question up a lot in these panels. I listed a property 2 weeks ago, and we were hoping to get 600. So initially we were going to list at 499, and I got a bit nervous because I saw how the market was changing so drastically, so quickly. And I called my client and I said, look, we need to, reevaluate our listing price again, because I don't know if I can get you that. And we ended up listing at 579. And, we went competing, which I didn't think that we would. And it sold for 750, believe it or not. That wasn't, and our case was, we wanted to make sure that we were selling for 600. Ian, so that was,
it's really hard to determine that, simply because you don't know the buyer's motivation. You could be dealing with a buyer that, has taken a break from the March, April market, just got back in, they've lost out on 10 transactions, and they're just like, you know what, we really need to get a house. We're going all in here. We're qualified for this, and that's what we're going to offer. But for the norm, I think a lot of agents, what they're doing now is that they're putting it on at a slightly lower price, not as drastic as it was back in February, March, and hoping to get competing offers. And if they don't, then if you look at the stats, you'll see that numerous properties are being price changed. And it's not going down for the most. There are some that are going down, but they're going up closer to what, or exactly what the client's looking for. I've had discussions with clients, if it doesn't get an offer that you're interested in, that will bump it up to what you want. And then I'll contact everyone that's viewed the property and say, hey, they want 450, first 450 takes it. Right?
Yeah.
So
no, it's ever changing. And I think, Ian, you and I have been around long enough, and it's almost a pivot each week when we're talking to our sellers.
So weekly.
Yeah. And because, I'm going to Bedford today, and, I'm seeing the other houses that are selling for 800, and I'm telling him, we may not get 800. Are you happy with that? What is your actual goal? Because, you may not sell what the neighbors sold for. And I don't bank on going into competing offers anymore. Just, And again, we'll look at offers as they come in because it is changing. We don't have the outside buyers the way we did last year and at the beginning of the year. We have mostly, Haligonians who are purchasing. And, we always said when we were in a buyer's market, there was no sense of urgency from the buyers here. They'll get to the property when they feel the property is right for them. That's the trend that I'm seeing. Would you say the same, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you're going to do a CMA today in Bedford, right?
Yeah.
Depending on who you're competing against, if they're looking at other agents as well, the agents could tell the client, oh yeah, well, the other comps show 800, so yeah, we'll be able to get that just to get the listing, right? But that happens in every market.
Yes, it does.
I think that, again, back to my point about experience, I think that if you, sell yourself on the fact that you have experience and you've been through, no one's been through a market like this before, but you've been through other markets where, like Leanne said, you used to advertise, oh yeah, 95% of asking price. I remember, putting out flyers saying, hey, I sold it for, in 34 days. And now it's just like, if you don't sell it in 5 days, what's going on?
Leanne, you have a lot of contracts come across your desk more so than myself or Ian. Have you guys been taking any stats like what the average over asking is getting, in your office, or you're getting, what would be the average? Have you noticed anything at all?
We're not keeping track of the stats, but as you enter deals every day, you do notice we're still seeing like 80% of what comes across my desk is still over ask. So, and I know that because I'm having the conversation with the client and I've been having that conversation since everything started going over ask, that the lender may not agree with what you're paying. And so we're still seeing that a bit. I'm not really seeing anybody come in at ask price. It always seems to be over. Something that I am seeing is realtors are getting more confident with longer financing deadlines, closings, that kind of thing. Like before, I had clients call me and say, well, my realtor says I have to have financing in 2 days and I need to close in 21. And, so there's a little bit more realtor confidence coming into play. They're not going with 7 days, they're going with the 14. So the contracts are being written a little bit more confidently, which is really great for us because it takes sometimes 3 weeks to get an appraisal done, right? So it's I do see a trend though. Our purchases are down year over year. I know mine are, but the refinances are way up. So the people that are on the street, they saw some houses sell, now they're able to refi and pull some equity, do some work to the home because a 12 by 12 deck is 15 grand today. So they're able to do things to the home and rejig their debt and adjust their cash flow. So, which
is always a positive. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me today. It's a lovely Friday, and stay tuned again for next week.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.